The ANC in the Northwest is reconvening its 9th elective conference, this after several challenges, including those of litigation. A group of disgruntled ANC members have now approached the Constitutional Court to have newly elected provincial top 5 disbanded. Now, this after their court bid to interdict the conference failed. eNCA's Moloko Moloto is covering this story, and he joins us now. Thank you so much. Of course, we need to know what is happening there on the ground in Rustenburg. Last time we checked in with you, the registration process was taking place, Moloko, but what's the latest you can tell us?
Good afternoon. Yes, the registration seems to have concluded. Now we are at the conference venue. This is the Civic Center. The conference is supposed to start any time from now. Of course, it's delayed. We had been told earlier that it was going to start at 1 o'clock, but we just finished with the media briefing that was addressed by Pule Mabi, the national spokesperson of the ANC. Some of our colleagues are now going to the plenary. However, maybe I should just highlight, you'd recall that there are members of the ANC disgruntled with how the processes of electing, just how the conference was constituted a fortnight ago. They then went to the court in Mahikeng, the High Court. They are now elevating their legal action to the Constitutional Court. The ANC is now saying, look, it is their constitutional right, and as much as we would discourage our members, that is the ANC, from taking these matters to court, they are saying they are not going to expel them. However, when it comes to those who have allegedly duplicated the text during the first meeting, creating a crisis really of possible ghost delegates, the ANC is saying once the police charge them, they are going to discipline them, and if they are holding any position within the party, they will have to step aside. Then the ANC is saying, you would recall that usually in ANC conferences, those who tend to lose the contest for positions, they usually no longer even attend other sessions of the conference. And now this conference, as it is continuing, the ANC is saying even those who may not be happy with how it went, they are under an obligation, as they have been nominated by their branches, to come and form part of this continuation of the conference, even saying that if they snap this conference, that becomes a dismissible offense. Of course, it's going to depend on whether they will be taking stock of who is here and who is not. What we know, according to Pule Mabe, is that today they are going to start with the nomination of the additional members. You would recall at least the top 5 leaders were elected 2 weeks back. Now there's about 30 additional members who must be elected, and in the end, so that they can form the Provincial Executive Committee of the ANC. We expect that this will happen today, and voting is likely to go even into the night. Possibly in the morning, the 30 additional members will be announced. And tomorrow, then they will be continuing with the commissions discussing policy issues, and the conference will end tomorrow.
Moloko, just take us back a bit, when it comes to these disgruntled ANC members, that they mentioned the ghost members and some of the other irregularities that took place. Just take us back and mention some of those other complaints that they have given as to why they want this conference to be nullified.
Well, first and foremost, it started with the legitimacy of the interim structure that had been put in place after the ANC National Executive Committee had disbanded the Provincial Executive Committee that was chaired by Supra Mahumapelo. Now, in terms of the ANC Constitution, such interim structures can only be in place for 3 months. So in this province, it was allowed to go beyond, way beyond the 3 months deadline. And just on the eve of the conference a fortnight ago, some disgruntled members of the ANC went to court to say these people actually did not have a mandate to constitute or to even set up this particular conference. And they won in court because the court said that members of that interim structure, while they remain members of the ANC, however, they do not have a voting power because they said they are not supposed to be in office. So they attended that conference just as delegates without voting power. That was round one. Then there were issues, obviously, during that particular process. Now, these people who went to court, according to the court papers that have now been filed in the Constitutional Court, they are saying that the ANC was wrong after it disbanded the PIC, this interim structure. It should have appointed a new interim structure. Now, what then happened, they say the ANC National Executive Committee took over the running of that meeting of 2 weeks back, and they say that is wrong. They say it contravenes the ANC constitution. Secondly, they argue that some of the delegates who have been nominated from branches were barred and were not allowed to come and vote. The other issue, they believe those delegates who were not participating would have voted for them, by the way. Now, the other issue is the issue of credentials. They say the report was tabled and adopted at plenary while some delegates were still registering, meaning that those who were still registering were not necessarily part of that process. They call that an anomaly, and they are taking these processes to court. Of course, on Thursday, they went to the High Court in Mahikeng on urgent basis. The court said there's no urgency here. That is why they now go to the Constitutional Court. They want direct access, and they say the Constitutional Court should set aside that ruling of the High Court and even set aside this particular conference. What is interesting here is that let's maybe move away from the court processes. There's still another process where some senior ANC members have written a complaint to the top 6 officials of the ANC where they are saying the ANC must nullify and set aside this particular provincial conference and even the leadership that was elected, the top 5. They say raising similar issues. But interestingly, some of those who have lost that particular complaint are Bizo Lenkopane, who contested for the position of deputy chairperson in this Congress, and she lost, and also Tato Wa Magogodi, who is the convener of the ANC in one region here. He wanted to contest for the position of provincial secretary. He withdrew his candidacy just on the verge within the plenary. And the lady Lenkopane, remember, she's a senior ANC leader. She is the convener of the ANC Women's League in this province. That is a position that's equivalent to being the chairperson of the Women's League in a province. So they lost. Now the ANC is saying, look, had they won, would they have contested this? Obviously, the ANC is now saying, even if all these people who are aggrieved were to go to court, they believe that they will win. So what then is happening is that the ANC is saying they have learned a lesson, considering the fact that they allowed the interim structure to overstay its welcome here in the Northwest. As a result, it has then decided to disband or to dissolve similar interim structures in the Western Cape province as well as in the Free State. According to Pulwe Mabi, he is saying the office of the acting Secretary General is in the process of appointing new interim structures in the Free State and the Western Cape province.
Well, thank you for that comprehensive update there from Moloko Moloto, our reporter, who is on the ground there in the Northwest, of course, updating us on the elective conference of the ANC in the Northwest. A lot of drama has been going on regarding that conference, and he will definitely be keeping us posted throughout the day as to what is taking place there. But let's move